Hey, what's going on, everybody? Thanks for joining us today. This is Brian from Team 1EV, and I'm here to talk about the new RMaxx step running boards and rock sliders for the Rivian R1T and R1S. So this is part of a multi-video installation and information series. We're going to cover each one of these products in detail. So in this series, we're going to do videos relating to the R1T running boards, a separate video for R1T rock sliders, and then the same separate videos for R1S running boards and R1S rock sliders. So each of those products and each of those vehicles has some slight differences, and we want to make a video for each one in careful detail so you know exactly what to do for your vehicle and your product. So before we start, just a quick point of information. The running boards and rock sliders are two entirely different products. First of all, running boards are exactly what they sound like. They provide a step into the truck. It's simply a running board that bolts onto the truck. It doesn't provide any underside protection for off-roading. The rock sliders, on the other hand, provide all the benefits of a running board. They look the same from the top. You still get the step, but the bottom side of the rock sliders are completely armored. This will protect the bottom of the truck from extreme off-road hazards, any kind of damage. It's completely different from an installation and a bracketry perspective, so that'll be a separate video that we talk about. Okay, within the R1T running board videos, we're going to break it down with two options. The first option for installation is going to be removing the small plastic outer panels from the bottom of the Rivian and not modifying them and not putting them back on the truck. The second option is going to be an option where you cut those plastic panels with some small access holes so our brackets can pass through them. So once again, on the R1T and R1S running boards, you'll have the option to simply remove the small plastic panels and just store them and not modify them and bolt the running boards on, or the option to cut a small access port through the plastic panels, keep them on the truck, is an option for the R1T and R1S running boards. When it comes to rock sliders, those panels are removed and replaced with a steel armor plating, so there is no modification and they don't get reinstalled. So the RMaxx is offered with two different tread plates. First, the triple square, which is one of our original designs. And then for those that want something a little more traditional, we have the triple slot. The products are really the same except for the tread pattern, so this is just personal preference. You can pick whichever one you like. The basic tools you're going to need will be some flat screwdrivers, a short one and a long one, a Torx Plus TP55 bit, a T20 Torx bit, and some basic metric sockets, wrenches, and ratchets. If you have extra power tools, you need lights, a few extra screwdrivers, an impact ratchet. Those will all be helpful if you have them, but they're definitely not necessary. Okay, moving under the truck, we're going to start with removing 3 plastic panels on each side of the truck. You've got a panel in the back, a panel in the middle, and a panel in the front. We're going to go ahead and start with the front panel. And starting with the fasteners, the first one we're going to go to is going to be a 10mm metric socket. It's just a basic bolt that we're going to pull out right up here in the back of the panel. And then we're going to move to a T20, which is a Torx bit in the front. And you can remove all 3 of these fasteners, and then we'll move on to the next step. After the fasteners are removed, we're going to gently pull the panel out. You're going to kind of pull toward the outside of the truck and feel these plastic clips just pull out from the inner part of the truck, and then you can pry the panel down a little bit. Once you look inside here, grab the long screwdriver, and we're going to carefully pry on these metal clips. The clips are a little touchy, so you're just going to have to wiggle around with the screwdriver and pull the panel down at the same time, and work your way along this panel. The panel can make some noises and the clips can pop out. That's all fairly normal. Just take your time and pry those clips out and pull the panel off. Sometimes when pulling the panel off, you're going to see a clip may pull off the panel and get stuck in the truck. That's not a problem. You can use a couple of small screwdrivers and pry these clips out, and then we'll put them back on the panel for when we reinstall the panel. The clips just press back onto the tabs. You can see here, it's possible that the tabs could get torn a little bit from the clip pulling off. It's not a huge deal. If you take your time, you can put the clips back on. Even if they're torn a little bit, usually you can get the clip to work again. Just press them back on, and there's multiple clips on every panel, so it's not a terrible thing if one of them doesn't work. When the clips are pulled off the plastic, they have little retention tabs inside them. Those can get bent forward from the plastic pulled off. Just take a small screwdriver or pliers, and you can actually press those tabs back in line so the clip can get pushed back onto the plastic tabs. The tabs are a little hard to work with, so be prepared to use a pretty good amount of force to bend those little tabs back in place, and then you can put these clips back on the plastic panels just like we showed. Next, we'll move to the back of the truck and take off the rear panel. This starts with a 10mm socket. You remove the bolt, and then we can start to gently pry down this panel, starting in the front of the panel, working our way toward the back of the truck, carefully working the tabs out by pulling the panel a little bit and bending it to pull those tabs out. Just like the front panel, pry it down so we can expose the metal clips, get the screwdriver, and we can start to work each one of the clips down, carefully just twisting the screwdriver, pulling the panel down, pushing on the clip a little bit, and working your way from the front of the panel toward the back, one clip at a time. Next, we move to the middle panel, and we start by just prying it out by pushing it toward the outside of the truck and gently prying down at each one of the clips. The panel will easily pry out of the middle of the truck, and when you get to the end, you can pry it down again. In the same process with the screwdriver, just slowly start to work each one of the metal clips from the outside of the panel, working toward the other end of the panel. Now, with all the plastic panels removed, just looking down the bottom of the truck, it should look like this, exposing the Rivian subframe. This is where we're going to mount the brackets. So grabbing the TP55 socket, these 4 main bolts are going to be removed, and that's where brackets go. Each one of these with the orange tab are the bolts we're going to pull out. So with the TP55 socket and the appropriate ratchet or impact wrench, you can slowly and carefully just remove these 4 bolts. Next, we're going to put an RMaxx bracket in each one of these bolts where we just removed the TP55 bolts. You can loosely put these in place, gently snug them up, and then we'll be ready to fit up the running board. This is how it'll look underneath the truck when you have the brackets up in place, snugged up but not tightened, ready for us to mount the running boards. After all the brackets are tightened in place, take one of the carriage bolts in the bottom of the center bracket, push it through from the front of the truck toward the back so the bolt sticks through the back of the bracket, lifting the running board up, sliding it into place, tightening the nuts, and then working out from there until you get all the brackets bolted in place loosely, and then we can adjust the running board. Once the running board is tight, you have the option of sliding it in and out. You have about 1 inch of tolerance, and you can just position it however your personal preference, in or out. Once it's in the position you want, you can move underneath the truck and then torque all of the bracket bolts tight to our spec. Once everything's torqued, you've completed the install and you have the option to leave the plastic panels off the truck. If you're interested in keeping the plastic panels on the truck, you can watch our next video where we discuss how to trim the panels to keep the brackets on the truck. Thanks for watching, and make sure you check out all the videos in our series.